I want to lead and start with a conversation about weather. That's been topic A all week long. Weather's been the most important thing. You just heard Brad Barton live in our studio talking about the freezing fog advisory for tonight through tomorrow morning. Now, my story is, again, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. And one of the things I know from being in Columbus is all those years is that the weather varies, and it varies dramatically. And it's the Columbus, Ohio in particular, the middle of January, the average daily high is about 35 degrees and the average daily low is about 19. That's about as cold as the normal gets. Yet here in Dallas right now, I had to look, the average normal daily high is about 56 degrees. And the daily low is about 36. Now, we're used to some screwy weather, certainly, but we're not used to what we're going to see tonight, and that is Brad Barton in the studio just told us a moment ago that we're supposed to get down to close to 20 degrees overnight. Could be a couple degrees either way of 20, like 18 or 22. Listen, 18 degrees and 22 degrees are cold. It doesn't matter. I don't care whether you tell me it's going to be 18 or 22. That's just daggone cold. And a lot of the homes here across North Texas aren't necessarily built for that. And when I talk about built for it, my dad was a plumber. And I learned just by hanging around with my dad some do's and don'ts. And when I was up in Columbus, Ohio, I bought a house. I basically bulldozed it, built a dream home up there. And one of the rules, I made a long list of things to do with a home, kind of a dream house. If you know anything about me and listen to me a little bit, you know what I do. I interrogate people. If we've met, if you and I've met yet, you know that about me. I ask a lot of questions, and I have people regularly say, "Are you writing a book? Because if so, forget that chapter." And one of the things I've done over many years is written down a lot of notes about. I've asked people, what would you do if you had to remodel people who remodeled homes, people who built homes? What would you do differently? What did you do right? And what would you do differently? I made a long, long list of kind of that perfect home. And one of the things on my list has been that I want all supply lines, all the water lines coming into my house, all the water lines going to my showers, my tubs, my sinks, all my faucets. I want all the lines coming up the inside of the house, not outside walls. Something so stupid simple so that they don't freeze. And I'm okay with the return lines, the drain lines of my water going out outside walls. But when I built the house, I built it that way. I told my builder, and he said, "You're nuts." And I said, "I'll make you a deal. If you don't want to do it that way, then if and whenever I have frozen pipes, no matter what time of the day it is, I'll call you, you come over and fix it." He said, "I guess we'll be putting up those supply lines on the inside of your house." He said, "It's going to cost a little extra." I said, "I don't care. I don't ever want to have to deal with frozen pipes." If you've ever had frozen pipes, you know what I'm talking about. The one tip I'd give you on pipes as we get, Brad Barton said a moment ago, we're going to get down to close to 20 degrees by about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, is if you have an outside spigot, if you have a hose outside your house, if you've not disconnected that hose yet and turned on the water so you can drain it, turn off the water to the outside of your house and then unconnect the outside hose and then open the spigot so it drains all the water, you should probably do that. It may be too late for you to do that. Otherwise, you're going to find real quickly you may have a busted pipe. Hopefully you don't. That's just a tip from Westside Jeff. My dad was a plumber. So I want to start with weather-related stuff. As Brad Barton just said in the newsroom, we have freezing fog advisory in effect until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. You've got visibility about 3 miles or less in portions of North Texas. What we've got is slick road conditions, and we've got fog, and fog is moisture. And as we get down to 20 degrees in the middle of the night, it freezes. So you're going to run into what's called black ice. Why that matters is if you're out and about driving between now and tomorrow morning, and you go across a bridge and overpass, especially if it turns, you might find you lose control. You just have to be very careful, and you have to drive very carefully. My question is this. I want to get into this. As we've had bad weather this week and the snowmageddon, as I would call it, we've seen significant weather come across the area. Do you think, and I've been listening a lot to the radio station, obviously, and watching some of the TV reports and following social media, I call it white death. That's kind of been the topic. My question for you is this. Has the media overreacted in advance of this storm? Do you think the media has over-dramatized what we've seen, what we've gone through, what we were set to experience? Do you think they've been fear-mongering? And if so, I want to hear your perspective. And in particular, if so, do you perceive all media doing that, or just this station, or just a particular TV station, or a certain forecaster? Your perception this last week as a consumer of news media, do you think we've overdone it? And how significantly overdone has it been? I have an opinion on that, and I'm going to tell you what it is in about 3.5 minutes. I'm going to tell you why it's not overdone. But I want to hear your perspective. 800-288-9227. It's 800-288 WBAP. You can also catch me across social media at Westside Jeff on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, or pick up a phone. I want to hear your comments. Did we over-dramatize what event we went through with Snowmageddon, I'll call it, here in the Metroplex, here in North Texas, these last couple of days? My name is Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. The phone number, 800-288-WBAP, here on News Talk 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. Let's talk to Bob in Grapevine. Bob, thanks for calling. You're talking with Westside Jeff. We're talking about weather, overstated or not. How much snow did you get there in Grapevine, by the way?
Well, I'm not from Grapevine. I'm passing through here right now. I drive from down south of Meridian up here every day. And, it's way, like you said, it's way worse in the Metroplex than it is just south of here.
Yeah. Bob, there are a lot of people listening there are people listening right inside the Dallas community, just in and around the Outer Belt, who are going, you guys are a bunch of pansies. What are y'all talking about? We didn't get much snow here, but that's where you got to understand the signal of the radio station goes out 140, 160 miles or so. And as you just said, up in Grapevine and up in Salina, you got a lot more snow than you did down just south of the city, right?
Yeah, I was leaving my destination in Caldwell and I was thinking, well, it's not that bad. And I look over there, and there's a pickup truck spun out with his tail end over against the barrier, the railing, and I thought, whoa. But, it's just different. I drive all the time, and I have to listen to the newsman, and I assess it and decide whether I can go or not. It was said to be a lot worse last night than or just early this morning. It really was in most places. I just went from Fort Worth to Meridian, but I don't think it's overdone. No.
Good. Bob, heed the warnings from Brad Barton tonight about the freezing fog. Have you experienced some of that yet?
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen any yet. Now I saw some fog this morning, but it wasn't that bad.
Well, would you got to be careful?
I listen to Brad Barton. I listen to WBAP. That's what I listen to.
Smart man, I do too. What you got to be careful. Thanks for calling, Bob. I appreciate you calling and being part of the show. What you got to be careful about is those overpasses. When you're driving down the interstate and you're on a bridge going over another interstate, that will freeze before the main roads because of the temperature of the ground and versus the temperature of the air, in essence. And if you're not careful, you're going to find yourself real sideways real quick. And if you're not ready for that, it'll scare the bejesus out of you. 800-288-9227 is the phone number, 800-288-WBAP. Producing tonight, Garrett Tarango. I appreciate Garrett being a partner of mine in the bottom of the hour. Coming up in about 4 minutes, we've got Lori Waffenschmidt in the newsroom. Will keep you up to speed on all the breaking news, including the Cotton Bowl going on tonight. A lot of folks in from out of town. Also, the weather. Brad Barton will continue to be a part of the show and our newscast, top and bottom of the hour, with updates on what's going on. Brad tells me that we're going to get down to 20 degrees tonight. Either side of 20. Could be 18, could be 22. And that is very unusual. We just don't get that kind of weather here in North Texas. It is, and you got to be careful about pipes freezing. You got to be careful about all kinds of things. So keep an eye on that. Bottom of the hour news coming up in about 3 minutes with Lori Waffenschmidt. On the other side of it, I'm going to tell you why the weather event this week and how the media treated it. If you think the media overblew it, I'm going to change your mind. Give me about 6 minutes right after, so 3 minutes after the newscast. Newscast in 3 minutes on the other side of that. Give me a few minutes and I'll explain what I'm talking about. Westside Jeff on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. If you don't have it, you need it. You should get it. I'm talking about the WBAP app. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. Here on WBAP, about a few minutes ago, about 30 minutes ago, got a breaking news alert on my app notification. It said breaking weather alert, freezing fog advisory for DFW area until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Details in 5 minutes. And you heard that from Brad Barton at the top of the hour and again moments ago. That's why you want the app. If you don't have it, I would highly, highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite things on my phone. Go to your app store, type in WBAP, find the app, download it, use it. You can listen to the radio on it. You can go back and listen to previous shows on it through podcasts. And we will, on a regular basis, send you breaking news alerts and notifications. So we had one 30 minutes ago said, hey, breaking news is freezing fog advisory for DFW area until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Details in 5 minutes. And then we had Brad on the radio 5 minutes later. That's what you want, isn't it? As a consumer of news and information, you want to be connected. You want to know, I'm like this. What the heck's going on in my life? What's going on around me? And I like knowing in real time. And the WBAP app is perfect for that. Again, if you don't have it, go to your app store on your phone. Type in WBAP, download the app, and use it. You'll get breaking news alerts, and you'll see the news as I do. So as the news environment that we live in with breaking news going down on a regular basis, whether it be something that Governor Abbott's done or something another state leader's done, or a weather alert, or what's going on in California, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You get notifications along the way. They're very valuable. Make sure to do that. Westside Jeff in on WBAP. I was talking earlier. I want to talk about have the media. You know, I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and I did radio up in Columbus for many years, and I did a lot of the weather shows. So I was a regular on a station up there in Columbus on Sunday afternoons. And I used to say, if you're listening to me, you hear my voice outside of a Sunday afternoon, you know something bad's happened, whether it be a breaking news thing or a lot of times weather. Tornadoes in the spring and summer and fall, and snowstorms in the wintertime. And a regular topic on talk radio around that is, and it's unison whether you're in North Texas or up in Alaska or California, pick a state, pick an area, is do the media overemphasize weather events? I told you a minute ago, if you think so, I'm going to change your mind on that and convince you differently. All right. Now, let me start with this. Here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in North Texas, you got to realize our signal covers about 120, 140 mile radius. You go 60 miles north of Dallas and you're getting up into, from downtown Dallas, you drive 60 miles north, you're getting up into McKinney, you're getting up into Princeton, Farmersville. You can get over to, I think Bowie is an hour, 60, 70 miles or so. On the other hand, you go south 60 miles and that's a different animal. Now, if I talk to if you live 60 miles or so, in a general sense, 60 miles, 50 miles south of downtown Dallas, you probably just had rain most of this week. But if you live 60 miles, maybe 65 miles north, northwest, northeast of downtown Dallas, you could have had a lot of snow. Garland got 2 inches, McKinney 3, Whitesboro 7.5, Bowie 6 inches, north of Salina 6 inches. Up around the Panhandle, it was a foot. That's why a big station like this has to cover the news. That's why we got to cover the weather. So my question to you is this. Is your perception that the media, when I say the media, not just WBAP, but I'm talking about TV broadcasters, the weather forecasters, social media channels, do they blow weather did they blow it up? Do you feel, is it your perception that it was too much, that it was fear-mongering? I want to hear your input at 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. Now, here's the challenge. Our metro area, again, is about 120 miles, 140 miles north, south, east, west. So from downtown Dallas, if you travel 60, 70 miles east, 60, 70 miles west, 60 or 70 miles north, 60 or 70 miles south, it's like a protractor. You put the protractor in downtown Dallas, and then you draw a circular area around it that can cover 140, 150 miles. And the weather pattern, the weather event, whether it be this snowstorm or a horrible rain event like we've had not long ago, or tornadic activity, can be night and day. So the commitment of the radio station to provide the information, the real-time information, is very important. So if you live if you live down in Duncanville, for example, and all you had was a dusting of snow, but then you also, like we talked to, I think it was Howard a moment ago, said he drives a lot from southern area of Dallas all the way up to, to Plano, to McKinney, to Garland, Frisco, and places like that. He wants to know. He needs to know how significant is the weather in the area. Now, here's the deal. The difference in the weather from those 60 miles, from downtown Dallas to 60 miles north or 60 miles south, could be significant. I mean, I'm talking dramatically significant. Now, if the media had predicted this storm that just hit as being what it ended up being, you know what? Right here in Dallas, it's going to be a dusting of snow, maybe an inch, and it'll be gone a day later. Northern edges of our listening area, 7, 8 inches. Southern listening areas, probably just some rain, maybe a little freezing rain. If that's what had been predicted on radio and television, and the storm track changed, the temperature changed, better yet, the temperature changed by 3 degrees, and the storm track changed by 20 miles, the difference between a dusting in downtown Dallas to the 8 inches of snow on the northern edge of our listening area could have dramatically shifted to the point that afterwards you would have said, you guys missed it. You've got to do a better job of predicting the weather. You've got to do a better job of telling me what's coming. So my attitude is sometimes we just can't always be totally spot on. There are some that say we overdo it. When I say we, the media, television forecasters overdo it, fear-mongering, white death, and so on. But the narrative about the media would be equally critical if the media as a whole had predicted that the snowstorm would be less severe than what we had predicted in advance. And if it was worse, that narrative would be equally critical of the media. So weather tonight, down to about 20 degrees at 6 a.m. As Brad Barton said, protect your home, protect your belongings. You've got freezing fog out there, tough, dangerous areas to drive, not everywhere, but some areas. My attitude is welcome to winter. It's what it is. This is an area where the storm track and the temperature can vary by 1 or 2 degrees and dramatically change the outcome of the weather. And the storm track can move 5 or 10 or 20 miles and, again, dramatically change weather. That's what we're talking about. I want to continue this conversation. I want to hear your perspective on weather in this area, weather in North Texas. Television broadcasters, radio, social media. Was it overblown? Or do you think we nailed it? Are you happy with it? Want to hear your input? 800-288-WBAP. My name is Jeff, Westside Jeff on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Westside Jeff and Garrett Tarango producing for me tonight. Thank you, Garrett, for being a partner. He'll be taking your calls at 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. Lori Waffenschmidt in the newsroom. See her working on a newscast coming up in 12 minutes. Part of the story will be, and she'll have Brad Barton in there with her also with breaking news and the weather perspective, what's going on weather-wise. Currently 35 degrees here in Dallas. It feels like 35. It's getting down to, Brad tells me, down to about 20 degrees, a couple degrees either side of that. But right now we have a freezing fog advisory. And what that means is there's moisture in the air. It's sitting on the highway, sitting in some lower areas and areas across our listening area. And it's freezing on the roads. And by the way, moments ago during the break, Garrett told me that he got a call from a trooper that said, hey, I can't go on the radio and give you my name and all that stuff, but tell people, please, to slow down. People are driving way too fast, and there's a lot of accidents around the area. And talked about I think it was the George Bush Highway. There was a pretty significant accident. The trooper said people are just driving way too fast, and there's black ice out there. That freezing fog that Brad's been warning about will pop up and catch you if you're not paying attention. If you've never experienced it, you don't ever want to. So slow down. Be aware the roads are tough if you're out there tonight, and it's going to continue through morning with black ice as we get down to 20 degrees. Westside Jeff with you tonight. Got an email from my buddy Duncan. Duncan is a regular listener, loves the show, and he sent me a picture of a hot tub outside the house with boiling hot water and steam rising. Said, Jeff, I'll be listening to you from the hot tub tonight. And I said, dang, I'm jealous. I want to take the station there and sit in the hot tub and do the show, but I can't. I'll be here in the studio. So we're talking about the weather, and we're talking about the impacts of the weather. That's the neat thing about this radio station. When there's things going on weather-wise, you can know that you can turn on the radio or download the app and listen to us on the app and catch that. And there's some of you listening now that go, what's the big deal? I'm driving down the road. It's not a big deal. What's the problem? Well, it's not a problem for everybody, but if you hit that black ice, it's a problem. You understand it. And as we get down into 20 degrees tonight, those of us who are homeowners, if you've got, my dad was a plumber. I mentioned a little while ago. My dad was a plumber, and one of the things I learned from him, and I deployed it when I built a house when I lived up in Ohio, is I told my builder I wanted all my supply lines and the water lines going up the inside walls. I did not want any of my water lines from my basement, because we had basements up in Ohio, coming up the outside walls, because I didn't want them to freeze. And when you get down to 20 degrees, like we're going to get tonight, some homes just aren't insulated enough. And unfortunately, you get in a scenario where you have frozen pipes. So my advice to you is take a moment, walk around your house, turn on, go through every faucet in your house, turn it on for a minute, make sure you got running water. If you turn on any faucet and nothing comes out, you got pipes freezing up. And you better catch it now rather than 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So go around your house, turn on every faucet in the house, not all at once, just to make sure that they're running. And my dad gave me a great tip and said, if you think that something's going to potentially freeze, turn on the faucet enough that it drips slowly, so at least you continually have a little bit of a drip coming out so your pipes don't freeze. A lot of the homes in our area weren't built for this. And a lot of the homes in our area have water lines coming up from the ground into the house on outside walls. And especially if your wall is facing north that doesn't get any sunlight, it doesn't heat it up. So you just got to pay particular attention. The other thing is make sure that you don't have gutter damming and all that stuff. Just it's a good time as a homeowner. You can protect yourself. You don't want to run into a significant problem. So people sometimes say that white death and weather forecasters on television and across radio, the gloom and doom of Snowmageddon. Listen, it's real, as Brad Barton has been saying all along. You know what? And 60 miles south of downtown Dallas, it's not as bad as it is 60 miles north. I want to get into, after the top of the hour, by the way, one of the things that happens during bad weather. I want to talk a little bit about this. So give me about 12 minutes and I want to do this. Is tipping. One of the things that happens in bad weather, when we get into wintertime and you get especially rainstorms, you get into colder weather, as a consumer, we are more frequently, we patronize. If we want to dine out, it's more common that we patronize places that deliver food, whether it be Uber Eats or DoorDash or just a restaurant that delivers. My question to you is this. When you order out, so as a consumer, as a homeowner, as a dweller of a home, when you order out food in bad weather, when it's cold outside, when it's snowy outside, when it's raining outside, when it's just bad enough you don't want to go out and get your food. When you order out so you don't have to fight the elements of the weather, whatever the elements are. Do you tip more? And how much more do you tip? And for those of you in the restaurant business, those of you in the delivery business, those of you, many of you have done Uber Eats or DoorDash, you've participated, you've delivered food. What experiences have you had with consumers, with people who say, you know what, it's wintertime, it's dark, the big game's on tonight, the Cotton Bowl in Arlington, I want to watch a little bit of the game. I don't want to go out to dinner, and I don't want to just order a standard pizza. I want to order a food and have it delivered. What experiences have you had in delivering food to somebody? I'll give you one simple story. When I was on the radio up in Ohio, I remember during a snowstorm, I was on the radio in Columbus, Ohio, and there was about an 8 to 10 inch snowstorm going on. And I had this conversation, and a woman called from a Chinese restaurant, and she said, Jeff, we worked our butt off to open the restaurant, even though a lot of places aren't. And our phones have been lit up for people ordering, because that's one of the things that happens. When weather gets bad, people order food. And she said, we didn't have enough drivers, so we're busting our butt to do it. She said, I personally had a family. I ordered food. It came up to $39.95. I got in a car. I drove what should have been about a 10-minute drive. It took me 30 minutes to get there. I got out, trudged through snow, went up the door, knocked on the door, handed them the food. The guy handed me two $20 bills, $40 for a tab that was $39.95, and he said, keep the change. A 5-cent tip. Give me about 8 minutes. I'll tell you how the rest of that went down. I get hit top of the hour news with Lori Waffenschmidt and Brad Barton with an update on what's going on in weather and the weather conditions. Again, the trooper that called in a moment ago said, tell people to slow down because they're driving too fast. A lot of accidents across the area. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. We'll tell you more about, talk about food, delivery, and the rest of that story in about 8 minutes. I'm Westside Jeff on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.